Hey, this is Melody, your East Tennessee real estate resource. I'm standing here in beautiful Kingston, Tennessee at the Gravel Pit Park here in Kingston. Just came back from having lunch with a client turned friend. You can see there's some boating going on in the background. And I just wanted to take a few moments because you know, right now there's a lot of unique things happening in real estate, especially here in East Tennessee. And so I want to take a few moments and share that with you from a buyer's viewpoint and from a seller's. Stay tuned. So let's talk to you buyers for the most part right now. So you're looking at homes online, right? You're looking at them either through a local MLS or maybe through Realtor or Redfin or Zillow or somewhere. And you can only see what is called the public information. The information that the seller has given the real estate agent to publish online. So it might say the square footage, it might say what kind of style of home it is, it might say how many square feet, all of the things. But what you really want to look at if you are truly interested in a home, if you're wanting to go see that home, or maybe you've already seen it and you're seriously thinking about putting an offer, you really want to pay attention to the property disclosure form. Okay, so let me talk about what that is. Now, in Tennessee, we have a few of these. We have what is called the property disclosure, which is where the seller is basically disclosing everything that they know about that home, good and bad. All right. So if they had a foundation problem, it should be noted on this property disclosure. If they have a crack on the third bedroom window, that should be disclosed on there. They're basically filling it out to the best of their knowledge. Now, you know, sellers can always see behind walls, they can't see under floors. This is just saying, this is what we do know. This is what we do know since we've lived in this home. We're disclosing that to you. There's another form called the property disclosure exemption. And sometimes you will see this on the MLS when maybe a home has been inherited. Maybe it was a situation where the home has been rented out. So basically, this form is filled out when the seller has never lived in the home for a period of 3 years, either again due to it being inherited, maybe it was a rental, maybe it was under probate. There's a plethora of reasons. But basically, they're saying for this exemption form, we don't really know a whole lot about this house because we've never lived in it. There's like maybe 5 questions that they can answer based on what knowledge they think. But again, they're saying we've never lived here, we don't really know. They're disclosing that to you with this property disclosure exemption form. There's also what is called a property disclaimer form. And basically, it's where the seller is saying, okay, I'm answering these 4 or 5 questions on this property disclaimer form. This is what I want you to know. Now, here is where I want to get a little bit technical. So if you see a property disclaimer form, then you can ask that seller, that listing agent, to say, hey, would you mind having your seller to do a property disclosure form? They don't have to. They have that right, but you can ask them to because you want to know as much about that property as possible. And sweet friends, I know that you get excited when you see a home for sale, especially if you've toured it and you're like, oh man, this is the home, this is it. Please do not neglect that property disclosure form, okay? Because I have seen, I could do a whole video on some of the things that I've seen, but I will look over it as your agent. You will look over it because, again, we're all humans. Sometimes the little check boxes are tiny small and it's hard to see if the little X is in it or not. But you want to get as much information as you can from that so that you can ask questions before putting the offer in. Or if something happens after you put the offer in and you're known about it, you can always reference that property disclosure form. So again, as a buyer, you definitely want to see what is going on with that house to the best of the seller's knowledge. Okay. Here's another thing, buyers. Okay. Sometimes when you put an offer in on a home, a typical time frame from the time you put in that offer to the time you close on it is about 30 days. Now, that can be a little bit more, sometimes it can be a little less. That's kind of the average. Sometimes things happen to a house within that 30-day time frame that is just life. That pipe could burst. That fluid, the septic tank could back up. I mean, life happens all the time. And so the key thing is making sure that your agent and the listing agent are working through that and communicating that to you as a buyer and also to the seller, because it does happen. And there's usually negotiations that can take place because, again, this happened while the transaction was going through. Now, let's talk to you sellers, okay? Sellers, you don't do this every day, right? You're hiring a professional to help you with this. And so please listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth, which are disclose, disclose, disclose. Now, if you're not sure what disclose means, that basically says tell what you know. Don't try to hide it, Mr. Seller or Miss Seller, because it's going to come back to bite you on the toe. If you know for a fact that you've had moisture in your basement and you do not put that on the property disclosure form and you're thinking, oh, well, nobody will ever know. Sweet friends, your neighbor saw that moisture truck there, that moisture remediation truck there. They're going to tell somebody, and that somebody's going to then tell somebody else, and that somebody else, and the message is going to get back to the buyer or the buyer's agent. Or the buyer's going to have a home inspection done, and they're going to use their little meter gun, and they're going to see how much moisture's in that center block, and they're going to know. So if you disclose it up front, at least that will let the buyer know, let the buyer's agent know what you're working with. It's better to deal with it up front than to have it suddenly discovered and yet you know about it all the time. So sellers, try to be as transparent as possible with the knowledge that you have about the house. If your cat jumped through the drywall, my cat jumped through the drywall, just disclose it. Again, it makes people a lot better to know these things up front, especially buyers, if they know them up front, than have to find out through an inspection and then deal with it. Because then they're thinking, okay, well, if they hid this, what else are they hiding? Be honest on those property disclosures. Again, sellers, we know that you're not hiding behind the drywall. We know that you're not underneath the subfloor. We know you're not, in septic tanks every day. We know that. But the things that you do know, be transparent about it. Put it on those forms, because that is going to show Mr. and Miss Buyer what they're getting into, what they need to deal with, what they can look forward to, what has been repaired, what has not been repaired, what are they possibly going to have to repair. They will go in better, making a better decision, a better offer, which in turn is going to help sell your house a lot faster. So I hope that information has been helpful to you. If so, please like this video, share it on your social media with others, comment, help me get this algorithm going so that I can help spread Tennessee real estate education to other people. And if you're looking to buy or sell in East Tennessee, I would be so honored to help you. Reach out at the contact information below. Until next time.